To me, missionary work means making visible to other people the blessings that my beliefs and my religion have brought into my life. Inviting them to make changes in their life so that they can receive the same blessings.
It was the best thing for me because I wasn't really ready for school. So I needed the mission to just whip me in place, and it did. It kept me out of trouble for 2 years, taught me work ethic, a new language, culture. Couldn't have been better at that age. I think it should be for everybody.
I think I served the mission for 3 reasons. 1, to share things that make me happy. 2, is because I felt a sense of duty to do it. And 3, because it was definitely adventurous. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
So I served in the Japan Hiroshima mission, which is like this part of the banana-shaped island, and I learned Japanese language.
Geneva, Switzerland, and French. My mission was part in France and part in Switzerland.
The Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo East, and I learned Spanish.
I served in the Spain Madrid mission.
I served in the Italy Catania mission, which is the southern part of Italy. Learned Italian, yeah, and a little bit of Sicilian.
私は松実生とイエス・キリスト教会の宣教師です。
Oui, je peux vous parler en français et je peux partager l'évangile de Jésus-Christ avec vous.
Vivo aquí en Wayne, Pennsylvania. Soy de Utah. Por trabajo yo vendo paneles solares que ponemos encima de los techos.
Me gusta la comida de España y la gente, las costumbres y todas las cosas que hacen.
Abitavo in Italia, ho fatto 2 anni lì, principalmente in Sicilia.
Authentic Japanese miso ramen. It's really delicious. They have all kinds of different vegetables and stuff in there.
Their main plate is rice, beans, and chicken.
But I'd probably pizza and pasta. I mean, I know that's not very original, but that's Italian.
Going back to like the old Japanese people who'd never seen Americans before, probably once a week, I would go up to an elderly Japanese person and be like, in Japanese, right? I say, like, excuse me, do you have a minute? In Japanese, they would respond, they'd say like, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. And then I would say, that's okay, I speak Japanese. And so even though I'm American, we can speak in Japanese. And they'd be like, oh, that's so nice of you, but I don't speak English. Sometime sort of in the middle of explaining to me why he couldn't speak to me, he'd just, you speak Japanese? Like, why do you speak Japanese so well? And then I would have to explain for 5 minutes about like missionaries and coming over, and I learned Japanese to share an important message with them.
Spaniards, one of their biggest traditions is every Sunday, everybody would dress up in their nicest clothes, like really nice, like Gucci and Armani, and then they would go out for walks, and they would just kind of go hand in hand, and everybody goes out and they dress up really nice, like their kids are dressed and kind of showing off their nice clothes.
You know, Italians, I think they're famous, especially in the South, for speaking with their hands. Like this one, which means you're an idiot. This one, which means it's really good. This one, which means you're a mafia. This means no. And this means afraid. I always wondered why this means afraid, but finally someone explained to me that's an indication of your sphincter tightening when you get afraid. So that's what that is. It is kind of gross, but classic Italian.
The very first day, the mission president let us go for a walk. We went to go see if we could see the ocean. And no joke, some van pulled up. It was the craziest thing. Jumped out of the van with a sawed-off shotgun. And of course, we're hearing all these stories how they're going to rob us. We all thought we were dead. And so we literally sprinted from this guy. To this day, I have no idea what was going on with the sawed-off shotgun.
I think culturally for the church, I think it does some really interesting things too, sort of baking into our church identity connections across the world, right?
It's helped me at work. It's helped me develop a lot of different skills. So it was best thing I ever did besides getting married.
I think it completely changed the course of my life and the capacity of it, and it taught me so many things that I think have come up and helped me in life.
Pente Volpe was an old man who lived in Reggio Calabria, and which is the toe of the boot. Very beautiful town, lots of classic coastal sort of scenes, and just really, really pretty. And Pente Volpe, we always suspected that he was connected. So anyway, but whenever we would change cities in Italy, you'd have to go to the police station, it was called the questura, and you'd have to get registered in that town if you were a foreigner. And so in Reggio, because it was so far south in Italy, it had a lot of African immigrants trying to come up into Europe through, over the Mediterranean Sea. And so whenever we'd go to the questura to register, there was always, in Reggio Calabria, there was always a huge line of Africans that went out the door and around the corner. And the first time we went, we got in line, and after a while, every 15 minutes or so, a police officer would come out and walk along the line, and if he saw anyone who wasn't African, he would say, "Go to the front of the line." Which was kind of a sad state of things back then. Hopefully things have changed. This was, 25-ish years ago. And the first time we politely declined and said, "No, it's fine, we'll wait." And after an hour or so, we realized the line was never going to move. They were never going to give any attention to the African immigrants. So we didn't know what else to do, except finally when the police officer came, again, and he'd look at us like, "Still want to wait?" And finally we just said, "Well, we got to get our paperwork done." So we went inside, and they would always just say, "Oh, come back in a week. We don't have it done." So every week we'd go back, and this process would repeat itself. And we started to realize we weren't going to get anywhere either. And anyway, Pente Volpe loved the missionaries, and he would always invite us over to his house for lunch. The outside looked all run down, but you got inside and it was really nice. So we're eating lunch, and we mentioned to one of us, we were about to leave Reggio, we were getting transferred, and the police station still had our paperwork. We couldn't go until we got it. And so we sort of mentioned this dilemma to Pente Volpe. He said, "Oh, why didn't you tell me?" And he grabbed a pen and paper and wrote this little note and gave it to us. He's like, "Next time you go to the station, just show them this." And so sure enough, we go back to the police station, and when the policeman came along the line, to ask if we wanted to cut in front, we handed him this note from Pente Volpe. He opened the note and looked at it, and you could see his face turn white, and his eyes got really wide, and he said, "Come with me." And he took us inside and showed the note to the woman who was supposed to be stamping and completing all of the papers for people. When she saw the note, she freaked out and started flipping through stacks of papers, looking for ours, finds it, stamps it, signs it, hands it to us, and says, "Please tell Mr. Pente Volpe that everything's taken care of." And so, anyway, I think that, as a Mormon missionary, I got the help of the mafia to get my paperwork done when I was in Reggio Calabria. So, thank you, Pente Volpe.